If you're someone who thinks deeply, feels intensely, or notices things most people overlook, this video is for you. Today we're talking about a rare kind of mind, one that works differently, processes differently, and sees the world in ways most people never will. If you enjoy topics like psychology, self-understanding, and exploring the hidden layers of human behavior, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss videos like this. Now, let's begin. There's a quiet kind of person who moves through the world as if they're living in two places at once. The physical world everyone can see, and the internal world that only they can enter. These are the deep thinkers, people whose minds process life in slow motion and high definition at the same time. They don't just notice life, they study it. They don't just feel emotions, they trace them back to their origins. They don't just observe people, they understand them. And there's a reason for that. Deep thinkers actually have different brain patterns from the average person. Their minds show stronger activity in regions linked to introspection, imagination, emotional depth, and abstract reasoning. While most brains prioritize quick responses and efficient reactions, deep thinkers' brains expand moments, turning them into entire landscapes of meaning. Most people want clear answers. Deep thinkers want truth. Most people move forward. Deep thinkers pause. Most people interact with life. Deep thinkers interpret it. But having a mind built for depth is both a gift and a burden. Deep thinkers don't just use their minds, they wander inside them. They ask questions that don't have answers. They analyze feelings before reacting to them. They see patterns in chaos and metaphors in everyday life. Their brain is wired to explore. But this wiring comes with consequences, emotional intensity, social misunderstandings, mental exhaustion, and sometimes a loneliness that comes from thinking in a world that prefers speed over depth. To understand deep thinkers, you have to understand what makes their brain different, not just psychologically, but neurologically. Because deep thinkers don't simply think more, they think differently. Deep thinkers also engage heavily in depth processing, a psychological trait where the brain encodes experiences with rich emotional and symbolic meaning. This is why they rarely remember things simply. A moment isn't just a moment. A conversation isn't just a conversation. A memory isn't just a snapshot. Deep thinkers remember the temperature of the air, the tone of a voice, the symbolism of the moment, the meaning behind what happened. They store experiences not as data, but as living ecosystems of emotion, detail, and interpretation. This is why nostalgia hits them harder than most people. They don't just remember what happened, they remember what it felt like to be that person at that time. Research also shows that deep thinkers have stronger neural connections between the emotional and logical regions of the brain. They literally think and feel at the same time. This is a beautiful ability to analyze without disconnecting from emotion, and to feel without losing logic, but it also means they can't shut off their thoughts. Their emotional brain and analytical brain fire simultaneously, leading to intensified empathy, heightened sensitivity, overanalysis, existential questioning, emotional overwhelm. In other words, deep thinkers don't just use their brain uses them. And that brings us to a silent struggle they rarely talk about: mental noise. A deep thinker's mind is like standing in front of 10 open tabs, all auto-playing different videos, all at full volume. Each tab represents something: a memory, a question, an emotion, a possibility, a fear, a curiosity. Even when they try to rest, their mind keeps unraveling threads, connecting ideas, replaying conversations, imagining futures. This often leads to rumination, the repetitive cycling of thoughts, not out of negativity, but out of a desire for resolution. Their brain wants answers, wants clarity, wants closure that reality often doesn't give, and so they reflect endlessly. But this same cognitive pattern, the one that makes them prone to overthinking, is also what makes them incredibly creative. Deep thinkers can take an idea and stretch it, twist it, dissect it, rebuild it, and turn it into something entirely new. History's greatest artists, philosophers, scientists, and inventors, people like Jung, Einstein, Da Vinci, were the very definition of deep thinkers. They didn't just follow ideas, they chased them. They questioned everything. They saw the invisible threads that link concepts together. Deep thinkers' brains are wired for innovation because they can hold multiple perspectives in their mind at once. They can see contradictions without rejecting them. They can imagine outcomes others never consider. They can connect dots most people never knew existed. But the world doesn't always reward this. In a society that values speed, certainty, and productivity, deep thinking can look like hesitation, inefficiency, or even confusion. People assume that, because a deep thinker takes longer to respond, they must be unsure, when in reality, they're refining their thoughts with precision. Deep thinkers often learn to hide their depth, just to fit in. They nod when they want to question. They stay silent when they want to explore. They act simple when their mind is complex. But their brain never stops being what it is, a machine built for understanding, truth, and meaning. Still, this depth comes with its own heartbreak. Because deep thinkers connect deeply, they feel deeply. Because they process meaning intensely, they hurt intensely. Because they see patterns others don't. They notice inconsistencies others ignore. They see the places where people lie to themselves. They see the gap between what someone says and what they feel. They see the cracks in relationships before anyone else does. And often, they say nothing, not because they don't care, but because they care too much to speak without certainty. Deep thinkers don't seek validation. They seek understanding. They don't crave agreement. They crave truth. And that makes their world both beautiful and lonely. One of the most misunderstood things about deep thinkers is their relationship with people. They often appear distant, quiet, or unreadable. But the truth is, they're not withdrawing, they're observing. Their brain is constantly gathering emotional data, noticing micro-expressions, subtle shifts in tone, the energy behind someone's words. Deep thinkers have an almost intuitive ability to sense when something is off, even when nothing obvious has been said. It's not magic, it's pattern recognition. Their brain picks up on inconsistencies instantly. When someone says, "I'm fine," but their voice tightens. When someone smiles, but their eyes don't test. When the room feels heavy, even though everyone is laughing. Deep thinkers don't just hear, they interpret. They don't just see, they decode. But this gift comes with a difficult side effect. Once you learn to see through things, it's hard to ever be blind again. They recognize emotional masks. They notice avoidance. They sense hidden motives. They feel unspoken disappointment. And because they understand too much, too quickly, they carry emotional weight that isn't theirs. This is why deep thinkers are often drained by social interactions. It's not the people, it's the processing. Their brain is evaluating everything in real time. And when life feels too loud, too fast, or too shallow, deep thinkers retreat not out of pride or rejection, but out of self-preservation. Solitude becomes their reset button. To deep thinkers, being alone is not loneliness. It's clarity, it's peace. It's returning to the inner world where their thoughts can breathe. But even in solitude, they are rarely at rest. Their mind keeps filtering memories, examining emotions, asking existential questions like, why do people fear vulnerability? Why do relationships break? What is the purpose behind suffering? What makes someone authentic? What does it mean to live a meaningful life? Deep thinkers don't ask shallow questions. Their curiosity is a force that pulls them deeper and deeper into the structure of reality. This brings them into a psychological pattern called existential thinking, the desire to understand life at its roots, not just its surface. Where others wonder about their schedule or their plans, deep thinkers sometimes wonder, what is consciousness? What is time? What is the self? Why am I the way I am? What else is possible beyond this version of life? These aren't dramatic questions for them, they're natural. But because deep thinkers explore topics that most people avoid or overlook, they often feel misunderstood. Not because they are strange, but because their depth doesn't always have a place in everyday conversations. They don't want to talk about gossip. They want to talk about purpose. They don't want small talk. They want soul talk. Their brain is wired to connect, not casually, but meaningfully. They want to see into someone's inner world and let someone see into theirs. But meaningful connection requires vulnerability, and deep thinkers don't offer that easily. They evaluate people carefully, quietly testing their intentions, patience, and sincerity. And when they finally trust someone, they don't open halfway, they open completely. They reveal their fears, their hopes, their insecurities, their wonder, their questions, not because they're emotional, but because they value depth more than comfort. Yet that vulnerability makes heartbreak especially painful, because when deep thinkers love, they love with their entire mind. They analyze, understand, empathize, reflect all at once. So when something goes wrong, they don't just lose a person, they lose a future, a meaning, a story. To them, even the smallest betrayal feels cosmic, and the smallest act of kindness feels profound. Everything matters, every detail, every word, every silence. This is the double-edged sword of a deep thinker's brain, the ability to see more, feel more, understand more, and therefore hurt more.